Let me share a teaching story. It's an old teaching story, but it's been brought back into contemporary terms by a few writers. And I think it's kind of a parallel for where we find ourselves in the life of the church today. Once upon a time, in a not so far away land, there was a kingdom of acorns, nestled at the foot of a grand old oak tree. Since the citizens of this kingdom were modern, fully westernized acorns, they went about their business with purposeful energy, and since they were midlife baby boomer acorns like Fred, they engaged in a lot of self-help courses. So there were seminars called Getting All You Can Out of Your Shell. There were woundedness and recovery groups for acorns who had been bruised in their original fall from the tree. There were spas for oiling and polishing those shells, and various acorn-pathic therapies to enhance longevity and well-being. One day in the midst of this kingdom, there suddenly appeared a naughty little stranger, apparently dropped out of the blue by a passing bird. He was capless and he was dirty, making an immediate negative impression on his fellow acorns. And crouched beneath the oak tree, he stammered out a wild tale. Pointing upward at the tree, he said, "We are that." The other acorns murmured. Delusional thinking, obviously, the other acorns concluded, but one of them continued to engage him in conversation. So tell us, how would we, as acorns, become that, the big oak tree? Well, he said, pointing downward, it has something to do with going into the ground and cracking open the shell. Insane, they responded. Totally morbid, they cried. Why, then we wouldn't be acorns anymore. It's common to say that trees come from seeds. But how could a tiny seed create a huge tree? Seeds do not contain the resources needed to grow a tree. They must come from the environment within which the tree grows. But the seed does provide something that is crucial, a place where the whole of the tree starts to form. As resources such as water and nutrients and the sun are drawn in, the seed organizes the process that generates growth. In a sense, the seed is a gateway through which the future possibility of the living tree emerges. The world says, get a life. Jesus says, lose your life. The world says, hold on to your acorn caps. Jesus says, let them go and become the tree of life. We have this remarkable gift, this legacy. It's our responsibility to honor the story, to share it with one another, to enjoy it, to laugh about it, to recall the memories, but always in an effort to plant the seed so the new form can be born. And it's tiring work. And when you're 65, you kind of say to yourself and the kids, it's time for me to go travel. I want to go to Bermuda or Barbados. But I would think most of us gathered here tonight because we don't think that Edgewood's done. We think there's something core to the seed that is critical, that our world needs, that can serve the church. The question is, what's the essence? What's the form? And what do we need to let go of so that form can emerge? Let me close with something I learned from Rabbi Ed Cohn. He's a New York City rabbi, but he seems to get this dying and rising business pretty good for a rabbi. And he was mulling over the reality, the frustrating reality that we get to 65, like Edgewood is, and you know, we have all this wisdom and experience and life. Then you live 20 years in a nursing home, and then you get kicked out because you're too young. Then you get a gold watch and you go to work. You work for 40 years until you're young enough to enjoy your retirement. Then you go to college and you party until you're ready for high school. And then you go to grade school until you become a little kid and you play and you have no responsibilities. Then you become a little baby, right on cue. And then you go back into the womb until you spend your last months floating, until finally you finish up as a gleam in somebody's eye. The kingdom of God, the seed of the tree of life, the future of Edgewood, is in the gleam of the eye of the one who told you the story tonight about what happened to them at Edgewood. The gleam in the eye is the one who first comes to camp, so wide-eyed about having a flashlight and reading a book well after the counselor has slipped out of the cabin. The gleam in the eye is a world hungry to know the experience of God. The gleam in the eye is Craig's. The last day of camp. We'd gone out to our home in the woods site to say goodbye to one another because it had become such a formational place for us. And we were walking back because the parents were starting to arrive, and of course Craig's parents wouldn't come. It was a social worker that was coming to pick him up. So we walked behind the rest, and as we were walking along, he took my hand, which absolutely amazed me, because he had never shown that kind of affection. And as we're walking, he said to me, looking down, "I'm one here." And I didn't quite hear him, and I said, You've won here? Like, he was pretty competitive, so I thought, he's won here, he's won, he's the victor, he's the champion. He said, "No, I'm one here. I have many families," he told me, "but in this family, I'm accepted." The gleam in the eye of one who is accepted by the community of practice, who lives not by right thinking, but right relationships. The kind of gleam that transforms the world. It certainly transformed my world. What's next for the next generation? That's the question for the future. Thank you.